again. So I've shuffled your cards and I've meditated on them. And before we get into the reading, I think it's important to say that there is a lot of heavy energy around this. As I was shuffling your cards, there was such a heavy feeling in my chest. So this may be a sensitive subject matter to some of you, or to all of you. And so if you find this subject triggering, or if you're feeling very vulnerable right now, then perhaps this is not the time for you to watch this video. I feel like that was important to say. Just take care of you and do what's best for you in this moment. Whatever's best for you and your mental health and your well-being. Okay. I just feel like this is going to be an important reading for some of you because, like I said, I just feel there's such a heavy feeling in my chest and in my throat. So I really hope that I deliver this reading with enough sensitivity and compassion and empathy towards all of you. And I hope it helps you in the best way that it can. Okay, so the first card that I'm being drawn to is the Lovers. I feel as though a lot of you strongly believe that until you look a certain way, you cannot be in a relationship. That only when you look like this idea of perfection that you have in your head, will you be worthy of being in a relationship. And it feels as though a lot of you believe that your weight is sabotaging your chances of being in a loving relationship. And a lot of you are convinced that until you shed the weight, you will never be in the relationship that you really want. I feel as though a lot of you want to be in a relationship. I can sense that a lot of you probably fantasize about it and imagine being in one. And I feel as though that is your motivation. You really want to be in a loving relationship with someone. And a lot of you feel that until I lose this weight, I won't be in that relationship that I really want. And I feel as though that is your motivation to wanting to lose weight, because if you don't, you're never going to get that relationship that you really want. Oh, wow. Okay. But also, I'm sensing that this is also not referring to a relationship, but this is also referring to you. The Lovers, it is a card that indicates harmony and union between two people. But the way that I'm reading this card is you and your body. I know you are your body. How do I phrase this? You are not in harmony with the body that you are in, which is why it came out in the reverse. And the fact that's in reverse, the universe is calling you to come back into union with your body. Because right now, you don't accept it for what it is. You don't like it in the way that it is. you want it to be, like I said earlier, you have this idea of what you want to look like. You have this idea in your head of the perfect body, and only having that perfect body will give you the relationship that you so deeply desire. But because you are so committed and attached to this perfect body, as a result, you are abandoning the body that you are actually in. And so there is a disharmony between you and your body. I hope that makes sense, because I know that you are your body, but it's almost as if you reject your body completely. You don't have any love or gratitude towards it in the slightest, that it's almost like you don't claim it to be yours. In the way that you love and admire and strive towards this perfect body that you want, I'm hearing that you need to have that same love towards the body that you're already in. But you don't. Which is why it's in reverse. You just reject it completely, and you're completely out of harmony with yourself. You're rejecting the way that you look. You don't accept it whatsoever. And to you, it's not good enough. And because your body's not good enough, whether you're aware of it or not, you then have the belief that you are not enough. And you won't be enough until you have that perfect body. So with the Three of Swords being here, I sense that you experienced a lot of betrayal. And I'm not sensing betrayal in the romantic sense, experiencing betrayal in a romantic relationship, although that very well could have happened to you. But I'm sensing that this Three of Swords is talking about a betrayal that occurred very early on in your life, and an unintentional betrayal. I'm hearing that, and I don't want to bash anybody's parents, but parents, even with the best of intentions, they sometimes make mistakes, and people with good intentions people that do things with good intentions, they still make mistakes, and their good intention acts as the driving force toward, how do I phrase this? So sometimes even people with good intentions make mistakes, and it is their good intentions that lead them to make those mistakes. So I'm sensing that this betrayal that occurred early on in your childhood, it wasn't intentional by any stretch of the imagination. It was done unintentionally and unconsciously on your parents' part, or your caregivers, or whoever it is who raised you. I feel as though you grew up with the sense that you always fell short. That if only you were like this or like that, then you would be enough. I feel as though you grew up with the sense that you weren't exactly what your parents wanted. That sounds really tough. When I'm saying that out loud, that sounds really tough. But that's not to say that they didn't love you or they didn't care for you, but there was always this feeling that they weren't 100% satisfied with you. And like I said, sometimes I don't think this was done intentionally towards you, because parents are humans at the end of the day, and so they are flawed, they make mistakes, and we can't expect them to be perfect. But when you're a child, your parents are your role models, and to you they are the perfect being. And so if you upset them, if you're not what they want you to be, as a child you feel you failed, and that who you are as a person isn't enough, because it's not making your parent, this person you idolize and worship, it's not making them happy. As a child, whenever we make our parents unhappy, we feel like we don't always get the sense that, oh, I've made a mistake and I can learn from mistake. We get the sense that, oh, I am wrong as a person. It goes much deeper than a mistake being made. You don't see that the action that you did was the mistake. You see that you yourself are the mistake. And so I feel like a betrayal happened in your childhood in this sense. So this distinction was not always made clear to you. And I don't think your parents were aware of this distinction themselves. Because like I said earlier, our parents are human, and so by default they are flawed, they make mistakes, and they love us in the only way they know how to love, which is how their parents loved them. And so perhaps their parents treated them in this same way. And so that's why I think it's important not to blame your parents in this sense, and that, oh my God, they didn't love me properly, because they weren't aware that there was a difference. I feel as though your parents too most likely carry a lot of shame and guilt from the mistakes that they too made within the course of their life. And they don't see their mistakes as something separate from them. They see it as an embodiment of who they are as people. They carry the mistakes that they have made throughout their life. I'm hearing that the mistakes that they make, they're almost a secret. Like they're not something they want other people to know about, because if people knew about the mistakes that they've made, the mistakes that make them human, then it goes back to feeling as though that they're not really worthy of having love. I feel as though your parents are very hard on themselves too. And so how they treated you in regards to how you made mistakes as a child, and how hard they were on you when you made these mistakes, know that when they themselves make mistakes, they are 10 times harder on themselves. They don't treat you any differently than how they treat themselves. In fact, I feel as though they treat themselves worse. So yeah, it's easy to say that you blame your parents, be angry at them, but I don't think they are aware of what they did to you. They're not aware of the betrayal that they're not aware of how they betrayed you, because this is all they've ever known. This is how they are towards themselves. This is how their parents were towards them. Yeah. And so, yeah. And so taking all that on board, I feel as though that is why you always have this sense that you're falling short, that your parents weren't always 100%. They didn't accept you for you 100%. You felt as though they would only accept you 100% if you did X, Y, or Z. So for instance, if you did something and they didn't like that something that you did, they would be angry with you. So that thing that you just naturally did and didn't think twice about, you would never do that again. And you would act in the way that they approved of, because you didn't want to see them angry. You wanted them to be happy. Because after all, our parents, when we're children, if we don't have our parents, who do we have? They are our everything. They're our world. And if our parents don't accept us for who we are, we have nothing. We're not safe anymore. We're at risk. We're at danger. So it makes sense when we're children that we have to please our parents. We have to please our caregivers, because if we make them angry, they might leave us. They might reject us and abandon us. So we have to do everything we can as a child to make them happy. And so if we just make mistakes, which is normal, I must state, it is very normal to make mistakes as a human being and also as a child, because we're learning. We're always learning, but as a child especially. And I feel as though our parents, and being a parent is one of the toughest jobs that there is, if not the toughest jobs. And so sometimes they forget that you're just a child, and they would get mad at you for doing something as if they expect you to have already known that this is a bad thing to do. They expect you to have this common sense that this is bad, don't do that. And rather than speaking calmly to you and educating you in why you shouldn't do something, they would just get mad at you and tell you off because they expect you to know. And so I feel like they betrayed you in this sense. And again, I don't want to bash on your parents, because being a parent is tough, and again, they're human, and even with the most loving and well-intentioned parents, they make mistakes because it's a tough job. And so I don't think when they tell you off in this way, when they told you off in this way when you were a child, again, they told you off with the best of intentions, because they don't want you to make those mistakes. So when they told you off when you were a child, they told you off because they believed it was in your best interest to not make those mistakes. And they didn't realize in telling you off in this way that you would interpret them telling you off as them telling you yourself should not be the way that you are. I hope that makes sense. Instead of, it wasn't clearly communicated to you that the thing that you did was bad and you yourself are not bad, but because they were so mad and angry that you did this bad thing, and because they want you to be the best that you could be, they just told you off. Because again, sometimes you speak to children as though they should know. You just expect them to know that you shouldn't do this thing. And so when they told you off, what they were really mad at is the fact that you did this thing. And instead of them focusing their anger on this bad thing, it was more directed towards you. And so you received the message that you yourself are bad, and so that you have to change who you are in order to please them, in order to stay safe and stay on their happy side and all the rest of it. And so in this sense, they betrayed you, in that they did not love you. Well, you did not feel loved for who you are. You felt as though you were always coming up short, as though you always felt that you had to do something in order to please them. You couldn't just receive love in who you are for yourself. And I also feel, in this same sense, a lot of the times when our parents or our loved ones or the people close to us told us something, whether it's about ourselves or what they believed we should do or how we should act, they told you these things with what they perceived to be good intentions, but in actuality it did not serve you. So, for instance, let's say if you wore something that you really liked, or you styled your hair in a certain way, and they would come along and say something like, that doesn't suit you, or your hair doesn't look nice in that way. These are just examples that I'm just making up at the top of my head. They told you those things because in their head they want you to be the best. And so they told you these things with the best of intentions, but really it just made you feel uncomfortable, and it made you doubt what you liked and how you wanted to present yourself. So the bottom line is the advice and the guidance that they were always trying to give you, or the advice and guidance that they always gave you with these good intentions, the message that was received from you unconsciously was that who you are as yourself is not good enough. That is the bottom line. So that felt like it was really difficult to word, but I hope I explained that clearly and you understood what I meant. So in this same sense, because our relationship with our parents and our family, these are the first relationships we ever have, and because they betrayed us in this sense, they didn't accept us for who we are. The first people we've ever had a relationship, the first people who have ever loved us, because they did not accept us for who we are in ourselves, we received the message subconsciously that whoever we will be with in the future, they too will not accept us for who we are. And I also think because you were betrayed in this sense when you were a child, this is why you idolize and fantasize being in a romantic relationship, because you want to receive that love and 100% acceptance from this person, from this other person. You want them to give you all the love that you never 100% received when you were a child. You almost want this person to make up. Yeah, you expect this person to make up for everything that you did not get as a child, which is why you place it on such a pedestal. You perceive this romantic relationship that you're going to be in, you see it as something that's going to save you, that's going to give you everything you never had, everything you need to be happy, to be content, to be blissful. And it's a fantasy, really. And it's I feel like this is it motivates you. What will be, what you will have one day, that is the fantasy that keeps you going. But again, because in your in the relationship you had with your parents as a child, because you were not accepted for who you are 100%, whether you know it or not, even though you want this alpha person to accept you for who you are 100%, to make up for the lack of acceptance you received as a child, you still believe that you, as you are right now, is not enough to get that person, which is why you have it in your head that unless you have this perfect body, you can't be in a relationship. Until you are what you envision yourself to be, whatever it is, whatever idea it is that you have in your head that is the perfect body, the perfect image, it is only once you are this image that you will attract this person that will accept you 100%. It is only once you get this body that you envision that you will attract this person that will accept you for who you are. And I hope you hear in me saying this now how contradictory that is. You are not accepting yourself for who you are in this present moment. And it is only once you think, it is only once you embody this perfect, it is only once you get this perfect body, this body that you think is perfect, it's only once you have reached that level in your head that you think is perfect, it is only then you will attract this person into your life who will accept you. But you're not accepting yourself. I hope this is just really coming out clearly, because I feel like I'm not saying it clearly enough. But I hope this is making sense, and how ironic it sounds. Is ironic the right word to use? It's just, when you just put it down like that, when you explain it like that, the steps, it just doesn't. Okay, I feel like I'm going to explain that one more time, just to get it, make sure I have explained it well. So, to summarize that quick point, as a child, you were not 100% accepted for who you were. And so, you fantasize about being in a relationship with someone who accepts you for who you are 100%. However, you yourself, because you grew up in this environment where people did not accept you 100%, you yourself do not accept who you are in this present moment 100%. You still believe that you're not good enough. You still believe that you have to do X, Y, Z in order to be worthy of love and in order to be accepted for who you are. In your mind, you are still not acceptable, and it is only until you have this perfect body, until you're this perfect weight, until you're this perfect image, it is only then that you are acceptable and worthy of love, and it is only then you will attract this person into your life who you want, who you desperately want to accept you for who you are. I hope I explained that very clearly. So again, it's like you want someone to accept you, but you are not accepting yourself. And you believe it's only once you become something that is not who you presently are that someone will accept you. But again, they're not really accepting you. They're accepting someone else, someone that you want to be, someone who isn't you at present. And so it's just, I just need you to hear that out loud. That you think the only reason you're not attracting this into your life is because you don't look a certain way, because your body doesn't look a certain way, because you're not a certain weight, but you strongly believe that that's the only reason that's sabotaging you from attracting this person that will accept you 100%. But if you want this person in your life to accept you 100%, why can they not accept you as you are now? Why is there this deep feeling in you that it's only until you're this perfect person with this perfect weight and what have you that they will accept you? Am I making myself clear? I hope I am, because I feel like I just really want that message I just really want that to hit home with you, and I just really want you to sit with it. You want this person to accept you for who you are, but you believe that you have to be something else in order for them to accept you for who you are. So you're not being who you are. Again, you feel like you have to be someone else for them to accept you. So really, even if you do become this perfect person with this perfect weight, I feel like there will be this real urgency to maintain that and uphold that image and that of what you believe to be perfection in order to keep them around. So again, it's still you going out of your way to keep someone around, and that's not acceptance. That's not 100% acceptance. And yet this is what you've convinced yourself to be the truth. I hope I explained that clearly, because maybe I repeated it 100 times, but I mean, sometimes lessons have to be repeated in order for the message to come through. So, yes, I hope I made that clear. Okay. And again, in relation to your weight and why it is you have this feeling that your weight is not good enough as it is, I do believe that perhaps there were some people in your life, and I'm getting this sense with the Page of Swords, that perhaps there were people in your life that made jokes, as they perhaps labeled them to be. These just snide comments about your weight and how you looked, and they didn't have enough empathy to realize how much those comments could hurt you, how much those comments would stay with you, how much they would live with you throughout your life. So maybe someone said that, I don't know, you look chubby or you've put on weight, and perhaps to them it was just a throwaway comment and they didn't realize the impact that those comments would make on you. But I feel as though comments like this have been made to you. And again, it's probably people giving their unsolicited opinions. And I really do feel like people commenting on your weight, it's such a violation on your boundaries. It is no business for people to comment on your weight or how you look. I mean, unless you ask them. But I'm getting the sense that this Page of Swords, whoever this represents, which I'm guessing is more than one person in your life who has commented on your weight, and again, it's probably they made these comments with the best of intentions. Like they thought, oh, you put on a bit of weight, or you're looking chubby recently. Oh, that top makes you look big. And they think, oh, this is helpful words of advice. Because I don't know. I don't understand these people. And what they thought was helpful advice was really hurtful. And so these comments that were made toward you in relation to your weight, you have carried them with you and they have held you back. So with the 5 of Cups being here and the 8 of Cups being here, I feel as though you have a lot of bad emotions You carry a lot of negative emotion in regards to your weight. And I feel it's a very heavy topic. And it's something that brings you down. And I almost feel as though you strongly believe, I mean, we touched on this point with the lovers, that you think you'll only attract this fabulous relationship that you think will solve your problems, this relationship that will give you the love you've never received, that you've never had, or this relationship that you think will give you all the love that you've always deeply desired. You think that the only reason that hasn't come into your life is because you're not yet at that perfect level. You don't think you're at that perfect weight, or you don't have the perfect body, and it's only until then that will come into your life. And again, I feel like this idea, it really weighs you down, and you think that your weight holds you back a lot in life because of this. It sabotages your chances of being happy, because you really want this relationship. You really want someone in your life to just accept you for who you are. You want someone in your life to celebrate you and just make you feel good about yourself. And you think your weight is the only reason that this hasn't come into fruition. You think it's the only thing that's holding you back, and it makes you miserable. And I feel like you really despise your body. I hear like a lot of negative thoughts, like, oh, if only I were to lose X amount of pounds, if only I weighed this much, then I would have that life that I want. I would have that relationship I really want. I would just be happy. You really think that the only bad thing in your life, the only reason that you don't have everything that you want in your life is because of your weight. And I really feel that you really believe that your weight is sabotaging you. It's sabotaging you from having any sort of love and happiness and fortune in your life. And you really dislike yourself because of this. And I really feel like it keeps you in this negative state of mind. I feel like you go to this place back and forth where you're always, I mean, you can get on with your day, but then in the back of your mind, it's like, ugh, you always come back to this place where, oh my God, I'm not okay as I am. I don't look good. If only I looked this way, then my life would be so much better. And you have a lot of good things in your life. I mean, if you can see that these cups are standing up, but this person here, they're turning their back on their cups. This person is paying attention to their losses more than their wins. So you're not really paying attention to all the good that is in your life, to all the good things about yourself as a person. You really feel as though your weight is the be all or end all of it all. I just sense a lot of bad feelings around your weight, and you're really convinced that unless you're the weight that you want to be, you won't be happy. And this is the only thing that's holding you back in life. Even though that you have good things going for you, you don't even see it. I feel like your back is turned to it. You're completely blind to it because your weight is always at the forefront of your mind, and the fact that you're not at the weight that you want to be, you're so upset about it. And really, I don't feel like it's your weight. I feel like it's the attitude you have about your weight that's keeping you stuck in this place. It's not your weight in itself. It's your attitude that you have about your weight and your body and your self-image. You are so convinced it's holding you back that it is holding you back. It's preventing you from moving forward because you're so stuck in this negative self-talk you're so stuck and convinced that this is the only thing holding you back, but it's not the weight, it's just your attitude towards it. And oh golly. Okay. And with the Eight of Cups being here, I feel like instead of realizing that it's only your mindset that is keeping you stuck in this place of unhappiness, instead of tending to yourself and giving yourself more compassion and love, the love that you desperately want from this relationship, I feel as though the universe is calling you to have that love for yourself, to give you the love that you really need. Because I feel like, oh my God, how do I word this? Oh my goodness. Okay, so I feel like I'm repeating myself 100 times in this video, but I feel like the message is just there's so many messages, and my goodness, I'm just trying to word them accurately. So, you are unhappy, and you feel like the only reason you're unhappy is because of your body, and because you're not at your ideal weight, the weight that you want to be. Because only when you're at this ideal weight will you attract the love that you want, the love that you think you've never received 100% into your life. But I'm hearing what you really need is to love yourself as you are right now. Don't love who you think you could be. Don't love who you could potentially be in the future. Love who you are right now and accept yourself for who you are right now. Give yourself the acceptance that you've never received. Because the attitude you have towards yourself, this is pretty much the attitude you've felt other people have had towards you throughout your entire life. You're just mirroring them. You feel as though your parents never accepted you 100%. And as a result, you're not accepting yourself 100%. Because like I said earlier, there's this belief that you're not good enough as you are. You're not worthy of love yet. You don't deserve love right now. You're not good enough as you are. You so deeply believe this. And and you really, some point in your life, you decided that the only reason that you're not good enough as you are is because of your weight. And that is the only thing holding you back. But with the Empress being here, it's kind of clarifying what I've already said. It's telling you to start loving yourself, start nurturing yourself, and give yourself the love you feel you never received as a child. Give yourself that acceptance that you never received as a child. Give yourself the space to make mistakes. Give yourself the space to learn from things that you didn't. Give yourself the space to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes. Allow yourself to be human. I feel like there's this deep belief in you that you need to be perfect. And to you, perfection means being this ideal weight, having this ideal body. And until you have that body, then life sucks. I feel like you believe that until you have that body, that's when your life will really begin. That's when you can be happy. That's when you can have fun. That's when you can accept yourself for who you are, which is just, okay. But anyway, with the Empress being here, it's really calling you to love yourself as you are right now and see that there is nothing wrong with who you are and how you look right now. And the only thing that needs changing is your mindset, which is why I think the Five of Swords is here and the Eight of Swords. With the Eight of Swords, I feel like this is you. And this is... you have kept yourself trapped in this mindset. You've been trapped in this mindset for a long time. And it's preventing you from moving forward. You're convinced that the only reason that you're stuck in this place, in this miserable period in your life is because of your weight, when really it has nothing to do with weight. It's the mindset that you have in regards to your weight that is keeping you miserable, that is keeping you trapped in this unhappy place. And with the Five of Swords being here, or even, and the Eight of Swords in reverse, it's suggesting that you're resisting change. With the Five of Swords being here, 5 represents change and a need to adapt. And I feel like you have a very negative mindset in regards to your weight and in regards to yourself. And with the Five of Cards being here, it's calling you to change the narrative you have about yourself. Change your perspective in regards to weight, and change your perspective in regards to how you look, and change your perspective in that you change the perspective you have towards your body, because you think that your weight is the only reason that you're in this bad place right now in your life, but really you're the one keeping yourself there. It's all this negative self-talk that you have in regards to how you look, in regards to your weight. I feel as though you're your own worst enemy. Yes, these people in the past may have come along and made these comments about your weight and how you look, but like I said earlier, these were flippant comments. They didn't realize the impact that they would have on you. They didn't realize that you would hold on to these comments for a long time. They didn't realize that you would hold on to these comments throughout your life. They made these comments with the intention to help you, but really it's just caused you to be stuck in this negative mindset in regards to yourself and how you look. And with the Judgment card being here, again, I'm hearing that this is calling you to make a change. Oh my goodness, how was it before? It's calling you to make a change in regards to your mindset and your perspective. The perspective that you have about yourself and how you look, it's not serving you. Oh, especially with the Tower card being here, actually. It's telling you that these beliefs that you have in relation to yourself and to your weight and to your body, it is not serving you. It is not working. You need to change your mindset. You need to deconstruct the beliefs you have about yourself and your body image and create new ones. Create new beliefs. Change your perspective and start looking at the situation differently. See it for what it is, because I think you're perfectly fine as how you look. But you're so convinced in your mind that it's the only thing holding you back. And I think as a result, because you believe this so strongly, it actually is holding you back, which is why the Ace of Pentacles is in reverse. Opportunities, and they probably even opportunities for relationships or just deeper connections with other people, whether that's in romantic relationships or platonic relationships. These things want to come into your life. They want to come forward. And you think that the only reason they're not coming forward is because of your weight, when really the only reason they're not coming forward is because of your mindset. It's because you're keeping yourself in this negative mindset. And it's funny, it's nothing is coming towards you. These opportunities aren't coming towards you. And because they're not coming towards you, you're convinced. In your head, it confirms that you're right, that the reason that they're not coming forward is because of your weight, when really it's your mindset. That's what's blocking them. That's what's blocking relationships from coming into your life. That's what's blocking fortune and success from coming into your life. That's what's keeping you stuck in this really miserable period. And I just really sense that you have a lot of self-loathing and disgust towards yourself, and you really feel as though you're not good enough and that there's nothing good about you. And I feel like you're so convinced with the Ten of Cups being in reverse, and it kind of clarifies with the Lovers being in reverse. You want this. You want these things. You want a loving and healthy and harmonious relationship, and you want your happily ever after. You want to be married, and you want to have children. You want to have this happy life, and you're so convinced that the only reason it's not in it is because of your weight. It's because of your weight. You're so convinced. But it's the lack of acceptance that you have towards yourself. It's the disharmony you have between yourself. You're not accepting yourself for who you are. You're not loving yourself in the way that you deserve to be loved. So even if someone were to come along, and make an offer towards you, and like I said, perhaps this has happened, perhaps people have wanted to grow closer to you and be in a relationship with you, but because in your mind, you believe that you are not at that level at which you deserve to be in a relationship. You don't deserve to be accepted as you are right now in this moment in time, that those people have gone. Those relationships that could have been, they didn't manifest. They didn't go any further because you were so convinced that it wasn't the right time because you were not perfect yet. And I'm getting the sense that perhaps some people probably did make an offer to you and make their feelings known, but because it was not in the way that you envisioned, because you didn't look the way that you wanted to look yet, you couldn't accept it. That sounds really extreme, but that's what I'm hearing. They may have made an offer toward you, but because you looked at yourself and said, no, I can't be in a relationship right now. I'm not ready yet. And I don't mean in your head, you just meant you weren't ready yet in terms of your weight. That sounds so extreme, but this is what I'm hearing. But I guess there is an element of not being emotionally ready, because I feel like you believe that you will only be at your strongest when you are at this ideal weight. And until you reach that ideal weight, you can't even entertain the possibility of being in a relationship, or at least a relationship that you want to be in for a long time, a long-term relationship. So maybe you will go on a date here and there, but in your head, you're not seeing it as something that will be long-term because you're not there yet in terms of how you want to look and how you want to appear and present yourself to Mr. Right, because Mr. Right will only accept you when you're perfect, and you're not perfect yet. So I hope that makes sense. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of messages. Hold on, let me think about this. Oh my goodness. I hope I delivered that clearly, because I felt like it was all over the place. Hold on a second. Yeah, I think just overall the message is that you are getting in your own way. I feel like your relationship to your body and your relationship, and the relationship you have in regards to your weight, it goes a lot deeper than you realize. You think that once you reach this weight, this goal you have of being a certain weight, you think you want to be this weight because it's going to empower you. But really, it's really keeping you stuck and making you feel sorry for yourself and making you feel bad about yourself that you're not there yet. And, if you want to be a certain way because you want to be in good shape, or because you just want to be healthy, then that's great. But I feel like the underlying message is that you have to accept yourself for who you are now. And it doesn't matter what weight you are worthy of love. I feel like the only person who's truly not accepting you is you. You want people to accept you, but you don't even accept yourself. So when these opportunities, when these offers of having a relationship came forward to you, these people were accepting you for who you are, but you couldn't even see it. They probably would have given you everything you wanted in that relationship that you fantasized. They probably would have been that person who accepts you 100%. And they were, because they were making offers to you. They were stepping forward and making their feelings known. But because it wasn't in the way that you envisioned, and because you weren't at a place that you envisioned, you turn them down because you're so fixated on how you believe you should look that you, as far as you're concerned, life can't begin until you're there. And it's just, I feel like the universe is really calling you to change. The universe is really calling you to look into this, to really get to the root of why you believe that this weight, this ideal weight, is the only thing that's holding you back in your life. When did this occur? When did this start? When did this belief come into place? Because it's not true. But you believe it's true so much that you are preventing yourself from moving forward in life and from accepting love into your life. And the back of the deck energy is Ten of Swords, which is clarifying that an end of a cycle needs to be made in regards to your mindset and to your way of thinking in regards to this. So I think this clarifies everything that we've been saying. So yes, let me just see if there's anything else. I think that's it. But I hope I delivered these messages clearly, because I feel like sometimes I wasn't making any sense because there were so many messages coming in, and I hope I delivered them clearly and again with enough sensitivity and compassion, because I feel like more than anything, the only reason that you want to achieve this ideal weight is because you strongly believe it is only once you reach that weight that you can be loved and accepted for who you are. And that is what you want most of all. That's what you want more than anything. And I think you have to realize that you can have that right now, and you're the only reason that you're not receiving that. And the way for you to receive that is that you have to give that to yourself first. You have to love yourself for who you are right now. And you have to accept yourself for who you are right now. Give yourself the love and nourishment and nurturing that you so deeply crave. And once you do that, I think, you'll thank yourself. But anyway, I hope these messages resonated with you. Please take what resonated and leave what doesn't. If none of this made sense to you, then this probably wasn't the reading for you. But But I hope you enjoyed listening anyway. And I just wish you the very best, and please love yourself and accept you for who you are right now, because I have a sneaky suspicion that you are wonderful as you are. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.